So my name is Jenna. I am a customer success manager here at dotloop. Been here for almost 6 years now. Always love having these dotloopapaloozas and these opportunities to get in front of you guys and just make sure that you know all of the features of dotloop and these advanced features. Because as you go on more and more with learning dotloop, I'm sure you're finding out there's a lot more stuff that you can do other than just the basics of e-signing and sharing documents and things like that. So there's a lot that you can do, and you can set yourself up for being extremely efficient with your transactions by setting up, and we'll cover how to set up templates, looking at integrations that we have, utilizing advanced features such as easy offer, some PDF tricks, and things of that nature. So as you can see, I'm actually already logged into dotloop. With this today being advanced, didn't think that we really needed to go through how to log in. If you are on this webinar and realizing that maybe you need to learn more about the basics first, you can always go back to our support site and register for one of our basic trainings. Again, just to repeat, this is going to be an advanced training. So with that, again, I'm going to skip the login process, and we can kind of push on from there and save our time for more of our advanced features. I'm going to try and save as much time as I can for at the end for questions or for topics you would like me to cover. Make sure it gets covered. This webinar is about you and making sure that you guys get the most out of this and learn what you really need to be seeing here and what you want to expand on with your knowledge of dotloop. So I'm going to get started with a couple of the things that I want to make sure that we touch on. With that, at first, I'm going to go into this My Account section. So with utilizing dotloop, one of the first things that I always talk about in basic trainings is you first want to go into the My Account section here and make sure all of this information is filled out and accurate. Make sure you have your photo here. I don't have one here, but I would highly suggest that you do. For the reason being that this information will be shown when you share out documents or message somebody within a loop. Anything that's going to give them an email notification, you want to make sure that your beautiful face is on that email along with your correct information. Being your own brand and being a real estate agent, that's obviously very important. So just wanted to highlight that and make sure that was something that you're aware of. If you keep scrolling down, you are going to see Premier Agent. So dotloop does have an integration with Zillow. You are able to link to your Zillow profile. Now, whether or not you're a paying Premier Agent or not really doesn't matter. If you're a paying Premier Agent, you're going to have access to, it's going to be more beneficial for the integration. But if you just use Zillow to, have your reviews and just keep yourself, visible within, when people are Googling and with that big audience that Zillow has, you can integrate here. So I would suggest looking into this even if you're not a paying Premier Agent and linking your account. You're going to actually be able to request a review right through the loop, which is awesome because at the end of a transaction, if you've been working with a client throughout that transaction, at the end, just sending them that request through dotloop, they're already used to dotloop. They know how to use dotloop. They're able to easily fill out that review and you can have that syndicated to your Zillow profile. So that's going to make that process really easy and also just keep your sales up to date on that profile. So I wanted to point that out. And again, and then down further is just address. So down under account settings is profiles. I always like to highlight this, even though this is maybe something on the basic side. I do think that it's really important to another thing to just make sure that I highlight and touch on, in case any of you out there are kind of just a little not as aware of what you can do with these profiles. So under profiles, you're going to notice that I have about 5 here, and only 2 of them are in color. One's black, one's blue. So these grayed out profiles, these are actually just deactivated profiles. So I can click on personal and click on activate, and then you're going to notice that it turns blue. So that has been now reactivated. So if I hover over my top right-hand icon, in the drop-down under profiles, you're going to now see Success Management Brokerage, Personal, and Personal Profile. Now that shows the same here, right? These are the ones that are highlighted blue. So So you can tell just by looking in the My Account section when you click on profiles which ones are active very easily by what ones are grayed out are going to be the ones that are deactivated. Now my suggestion to you guys is to only keep the ones that you are actually doing any work out of active. Anything that you're not utilizing at all, just go ahead and deactivate it, because you don't want to have someone share a document with you and there be a loop for you to click on and it's going to ask what profile to go in. You don't want to have more than the options that you really utilize so that you don't accidentally put that loop in the incorrect profile. So the other thing to point out here is that these you can change the name of. So you want to make sure that the names of these profiles are really clear to you as to what it represents. So test brokerage, that's the name of the brokerage. And I would always suggest having the brokerage name as the profile name, just because then you know what that profile is attached to, what dashboard it's attached to for each brokerage. So like I wouldn't want to keep a profile name as Jenna Agent, because then that's just my name. And when someone shares a document with me, I may not know what specifically that represents. So just keep that in mind. You know, you don't want to have something put a loop in an incorrect profile, because you are not able to move loops between profiles. You would have to download the documents and recreate the loop in the correct profile if you were to have a loop go in the incorrect profile. So just keep yourself on top of it by having these all, again, just represented by the correct name as to what they are, and just keeping them only active, the profiles that you actually work out of. The other thing in here that I wanted to highlight is apps. If you click on apps, it's going to show you what integrations that you have connected with. And if there aren't any, or if you want to add more, you can click on Go to our app directory to learn more about integrating with other apps. At this point, we have about 50 plus partners, so definitely worth checking out. Integrations can be extremely valuable to minimize that data entry and just keeping yourself connected as much as possible. So wanted to point that out. So that's really all I wanted to touch on the My Account section. Again, account settings, it's where you can link to the Premier Agent integration, that Zillow integration. Very easy to link to your Zillow account or your Zillow profile. Profiles, multiple profiles, keep only the ones that you need activated and named appropriately. And apps, where you can learn more about our integrations and see what you're already integrated with. So we can go ahead and move forward. So something I didn't mention at the beginning of this is with this being advanced, it's kind of, I'm really just going to kind of bounce around from different areas and different features. In basic, we usually keep a pretty storyline, so to speak, and a pretty kind of an example and just go with the flow. For advanced, I usually just kind of bounce around from topics. So just wanted to point that out in case you're like, all right, Jenna's all over the place here. And again, I want to try and save a good amount of time at the end for you guys to let me know what features you would like me to go over or any questions that you have. So let's go ahead and bounce into templates. So I'm going to click on the template section here. Now the template section can be really powerful in enabling you guys to set up documents and folders of documents, whatever it is that you may need, and templatize it so that when you are in the middle of 3 different contracts and negotiating and 3 different clients, when you're extremely busy, you can set yourself up to easily have exactly what you need and everything customized to how you need it. So in templates, what I want to highlight first is how you can create your own document templates. So in this document section, now for my account, so as you can see, I'm premium, and in my account, I think you noticed that I have my profile Success Management Brokerage. Now this profile that I'm in is actually attached to my brokerage. So my brokerage has dotloop. They have purchased dotloop, and with that, that's how I have my account, is through them. So with that, I am able to submit for review up to them and on that dashboard. And I also have access to anything that they've built out for templates. And I would say, for those of you on this webinar today. That may be your situation, so just wanted to point that out. If you are just a premium, you've signed up for dotloop on your own and just purchased premium, just keep that in mind. That's why I have these already in here, because my brokerage has supplied these for me, which obviously is a huge value add. Am I good?
Yes, one person isn't able to hear, and I just wanted to
okay. Sorry about that. We just we thought maybe you guys couldn't hear us. Sounds like we're all good. So for those of you that are just individual agents that have purchased the premium for dotloop that are on this webinar, as I mentioned, just keep in mind that you may not, your documents in your template section, you may just see a personal and an inbox. You may not see anything else. The reason I have this here, these were all built out for me at the dashboard level for my brokerage. So that's why I have that here. Again, for you premium users that are individually utilizing this, something to talk about your brokerage admins and leadership about would be to possibly purchase dotloop for the entire brokerage and have that dashboard, because this is extremely valuable to have access to automatically. And I will show you later on the submit for review, and we can just touch on the compliance piece, because as an agent, I can just, once I've built out my loop and I have something that I would, outside of technology, have to go to the office and bring to them, I just have to click the submit for review button, and it makes it so much easier and brings all of this together. So again, the reason I can tell this was from my brokerage is one, I know I didn't build this, but I can click on this folder, click on the 3 gray dots, and if I just see an option of duplicate, that's how I know that was supplied to me from my brokerage. So my brokerage did a great job. They set these up for us. They even broke them out, different categories for our listing documents, our purchase documents, and so forth. But for me, when I look in the listing documents, I see all of these documents, but for me personally, I don't use all of these, and I just want to have it a folder of my own with the documents that I need for a certain specific, like maybe just the initial grouping of documents that I need to send out when I have a seller. So I want to create my own folder. And the way I'm going to do that is in the template section under documents, I'm clicking on plus new folder. And I'm going to name this, just so I know the difference between the one that I built out and the one that my brokerage did. I'm not going to just name it listing documents, because that's the name of their folder. I'm going to name it Jenna's listing docs, and then create folder. So now I have this empty folder, and through this I can add documents from my computer into this folder, or I can pull in other documents from this section. So I'm going to add in some other documents from this section. So I'm going to click on templates. And again, the documents I need are in the listing documents folder that my brokerage has available for me. I just don't want all of them. So the only ones I want in here are exclusive right, listing presentation, this housing inspection placeholder. A placeholder is just like it sounds, a place to hold a document. So this isn't an actual document called housing inspection. It's a placeholder. So when I have the housing inspection in the loop, I can just add it to that placeholder. I like to think of placeholders as in addition to being with the documents in a loop, being shown there. It kind of just keeps me on track, and it's kind of like an interactive checklist, so to speak. And I can show you what that looks like when we eventually add this into a loop. But just wanted to point that out, that is a placeholder. And the way I can tell is also by the fact that it is a light gray. All right, agency disclosure, earnest money, and that's it. So these are the only documents that I need out of the listing document folder that my brokerage created that I want in my own personal folder. Check them off, and I'm hitting copy. So now in Jenna's listing docs, I have just those specific documents and placeholders. Again, that is a placeholder, and earnest money receipt is a placeholder. So now I've set that up for myself so that when I go in a loop and I click on add a document from template, this will be an option. Now, as you can see, when I click on add a document in templates, I could have just pulled them directly from my association. So if you wanted to make sure your association is attached. You would do that in the My Account section. So in the My Account section for your profile, you can actually click on Add Association, and from there you can search your association and get them added to your account. We have lots of partnerships with different associations and boards for you to have access automatically to their documents as a member. So I suggest checking that out if you don't already have your association attached to your account. And just quickly to show you where that is and what I mean, when I hover over my initials and I click on my account, click on Profiles, for the profile that I want the association to be showing and me to have access, I'm going to scroll down. So Success Management Brokerage, yep. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to click on Add Association. So that's where you can add on and search associations to get, as you can see here, access to ready-to-use form templates. It's already going to auto-populate my state and just look at what the different associations are for my state. Now, we're not going to have agreements at this point. Unfortunately, we don't have agreements with every single association or board out there that has documents, but it's worth checking and seeing if your association that we do have that agreement with, and going from there so that you can look at those. But again, in the templates, Jenna's listing docs, when you click on Add a Document, we could have added it from any of these other folders. Now, other thing I want to talk about in here is how you can set up co-op contracts. Now, unfortunately, not everybody uses dotloop yet, and so with that, we want to set it up though, so that when we do receive those PDFs via email from from that co-op agent, that we set it up so that we can easily have fields added to that document for what we need. So something that I talk with agents about doing that I've seen people have a lot of success with, and it makes it very easy for them when they do get that dreaded PDF in an email, is setting up co-op contracts. So with that, what I would suggest is creating a folder that's called just co-op docs. So I'm going to click on plus new folder, and I'm going to call this co-op documents. And what I'm going to do in this folder, I'm going to pull in some PDFs of the contract or any documents that you get. What I would suggest doing is pulling in as a PDF form any documents that you get pretty regularly, that you can expect to get from the co-op agent when you do get PDFs coming in. So, obviously the first one we're going to want to make sure we cover, and the big one is that contract for your state or for your board, whatever it is, your association. So for us, we're here in Cincinnati, and we want to just get that contract. I want to get that PDF version of my contract in this folder so I can get this set up. So I've downloaded from the Cincinnati Area Board of Realtors that contract for our area, and I'm going to pull it into this folder. So I'm going to click on Browse. I'm going to click on Ohio Contract to Purchase, CABR. Now this is a PDF version of my blank contract that I'm putting in a folder called Co-op Documents. Now what I want to do is prepare for when I get a PDF emailed to me with an offer. So we can go ahead and set this up and assume that this is an offer that's come to me. And what I would normally have to do is upload this into my listing loop and drag and drop all of the fields for my seller. Now we want to go ahead and set this up so that we can easily have those fields applied to that contract without having to do that manually every time. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on Add Initials, scroll down, and we're going to set this up exactly as we would want it for when we do this, when we have an actual offer coming in. And what we're going to also do is, while we're setting this up, some shortcuts we have here on the right of how we can build this out and just save us some time while we're building out this template. So for here, assign this field, the role is going to be seller. I'm going to Oops. So what I did is I Command Shift C, and now I'm going to click. So it's the exact size. And I just did this. I'm on a Mac, so if you're on a PC, your actual keys are going to be different. But just utilize our hotkeys, and you're going to see them right here on the right. For even more specific hotkeys, you can always go to our support site, support.dotloop.com, and just search hotkeys if you want to learn more about what you can do as far as to help you with building out and placing signature, initial fields, radio buttons, all of that good stuff. So again, I'm just setting this up, and I also want to make that, yep, that's to sellers, so that when I get an offer, my sellers, this will already be set up for my sellers. So what I would do is I would keep doing that, right? Oops. And I'm only going to do the first 2 pages for time purposes. Sellers. So obviously I could go through this entire thing and just go ahead and preset any of the fields I would need for my sellers to fill out in the case that I am getting an offer in a PDF form for my state contract. So I'm going to hit save. So once you're all done and you have that all filled out, hit save. We can go back. And I could even actually just rename this just so I am fully aware of what specific scenario this is. So I'm going to say seller. So when I have a seller and I have a contract come in, this is what I'm going to choose. Now I'm going to show you exactly what I mean by this. So let's go back and let's create a loop. We'll pretend we have a listing. Now, as you can see in this drop down, different things are populating as I keep typing. And you're either going to see the source of Google Maps, or you could even see a source of dotloop, or you could even see a source of MLS. Now, Google Maps, this source is just going to help with us just filling in the address specifically. So we'll just choose this one for today. Actually, we're going to choose this one here in Cincinnati. So the Google Maps suggestion is just going to help me fill in this address. That's it. But if I were to choose source dotloop, I could link to, generally this is when you have an offer, you can link to someone else's listing loop, and that way import all of that information. MLS, that's just going to pull in the feed from what is on the MLS. And help you just fill in information. And we're going to go over that more in depth. But for now, I just want to create this loop to show you about the co-op contract. Now, this select a template, this you're going to see if you are connected. You're connected to your brokerage has our dashboard or Business Plus product offering. You're going to see this option to select a template. And these are loop templates. And that's just going to help you with having auto-added documents and tasks and things just added into your loop. If your brokerage doesn't have dotloop, you're not going to see this option. Since not everybody today necessarily is on an account that is attached to a brokerage, I'm not going to select that, but it is a huge time saver. So I'm going to create the loop. Now we have our listing loop. Again, I just got an email with a contract, and I need to get it uploaded in here and get my seller to get that filled out. So what I'm going to do is I have their offer saved on my computer. So I'm going to click on Browse. And I'm going to pull in that contract. And when I open the contract, this is an offer, right? Just pretend that we have a property address. This is all filled out. They have the buyer's initials, and this is an offer. Now I need to get this over to my seller, right? What I could do is I could go to add and do the add initials and build it all out. But because we've built out that co-op contract in our templates, we've templatized it, I just need to go to File, Apply Template. I'm going to choose the folder Co-op Documents. I'm going to choose Ohio Contract to Purchase Seller, and I'm going to hit Apply. Now by doing that, what do we see here? Well, remember what we did when we were in the template section? We created these text boxes. I'm sorry, these initial boxes for the seller. And if I click on it, it says seller. Well, I don't have a seller in the loop. That's why it says no sellers. But as you can see, these boxes are auto-added onto this document. So when you have that scenario where you're receiving a PDF of an offer, you have these already. You have the ability to just click on file, apply template, pull in that co-op seller contract, and have these initials and all of the fields. I mean, obviously we could have gone so much further and done all of the initial fields, text fields, that you feel like you need to add when you get offers as PDFs, and have it go from there. So this is a huge time saver. Again, you're in a crunch, you get an offer, you want to get that over to your seller as soon as possible. You don't want to be stuck sitting here going, add signature, add initials for every single little space. This is going to save you all of that time by just uploading that offer, that PDF offer, and going to file, apply template. If you want to learn more about apply template, our support site, support.dotloop.com, and just search apply template. It'll walk through step by step exactly how, kind of what I just went over there. So before we go further into how to make your loop active and searchable through easy offer and things like that, I just want to check in with Sam on questions. So give me one moment. All right. So one of the questions, and this is a good question, because a lot of times, unfortunately, we're going to get offers that come in that are not exactly the exact places of where our fields are on this perfect PDF here that we have. You could get a scanned PDF where they kind of were off a little, and it's a little off, and when you drop in you hit apply template and you drop in these initial boxes, they could be off. So the best way to move these, and there's not a good way to just select. You can't select this entire document in all of its entirety of however many pages it is, I believe like 7, but you can do page by page. So if when you apply template and it's just a little bit off, I mean, I can do this. So look, I'm just dragging and holding. It's going to select both of those. I can just hit shift and arrow. See how I'm doing this here? Shift and just the arrow of the direction I want to move it. So if it's just a little off, I could do that piece by piece. I could even click, drag, and select an entire. See, I can do a whole document, but it's not going to let you click and drag between other documents. See, I'm trying to go all the way to the bottom here, but I can't. So you could do it page by page if it looks like it's going to move in a way that's needed. Otherwise, that there's really not a great way to do that. So hopefully, you don't get that co-op agent that's horrible at scanning documents and that kind of situation. And again, if it's just a little off, I would suggest just highlighting and moving with your arrows, shift and then arrow the direction you want to move those boxes, and you can do it on a page by page basis as much as possible. But that was a good question. Something else I want to cover quickly before I move on to making your listing searchable and utilizing some of those autofill features is how you are able to get documents into a loop. So I can click on add document in this loop. Obviously I can click on templates. It's going to pull up my template section. I can pull in any documents I need from my templates. I can click on browse, and that's just going to pull up what's downloaded onto my computer. But I can also email in a document. So again, I mentioned that that other agent had emailed me a PDF. Now, if I didn't want to go through downloading it and then uploading it into my loop, I could email it directly into this loop. And I want to cover how to do that quickly since we had a request for that. So I'm going to switch screen. Actually, first I'm going to click on email. I'm going to copy to clipboard. So what I'm doing is for this specific folder in this specific loop, I'm clicking on email and I'm clicking copy to clipboard. This is an email address and it's specific to this folder. Now I'm going to go back to my email. I'm going to open this This is the PDF attached. This is my offer from that other agent. I'm just going to forward this. So I'm going to click on more, forward to, and I'm just going to hit paste. So I'm pasting that email address for that specific folder in that specific loop. And then I'm going to hit send. Now I can switch screens and go into my loop, refresh my screen, and refresh it again. Give it a second here. Let me see if that went through. Well, it should be appearing here. Oh, there it is. Just took a couple seconds. So as you can see, there it is. So I just emailed a document into this specific loop and into this specific folder. So if you have a folder and you're anticipating a PDF coming, I mean, you could technically save this email address right here into your contacts. But I mean, I don't know that that's fully necessary. That would only be if you have a lot of documents that you're expecting to come in that you want to just keep on forwarding into your loop. That's something to think about. But just wanted to cover that. And I'm going to check in. There might be one other thing to cover quickly. Hold on one sec. All right, looks like we're good to go. So when I was creating this loop just for us to look at those co-op contracts, remember I created the loop and we had as I was starting to type, we had those drop down of options. And it was the source of what we were selecting in the drop down. And it was either Google Maps, dotloop, or MLS. Now, if I were to, let's say we have an offer. So let's take a step back. I'm creating a loop because I'm putting an offer in on a property. And the property is, let's say 12346 East Selling Street. Now, if I click on here, you saw the source was dotloop and MLS. It'll say, would you like to save time by importing the listing details from dotloop? So I would say every time you get this option, I would highly suggest clicking import data. Now, what that's going to do is just give you information that listing agent has already filled out for that listing and save you the time of having to manually type in that information. So if we click on import data, and I'm not going to do that just because this could be an actual listing, even though it doesn't sound like it, I'm still a little iffy. So I'm not going to, but I could click on import data and then create the loop, and that information would already be in the loop. Now, one thing I want to just make sure I clarify here, because I think people get scared of that and think, by doing that the listing agent is going to see, any documents you have automatically, or you guys are going to be sharing the loop in some sort of way where they're going to automatically be able to see your information or vice versa. In dotloop, nothing is ever shown to any other party in a loop unless you share it. Obviously, with the not including the option to add someone to loop is on my team. So if I'm in a loop, let's go back to our existing loop here, and I add someone to a loop. If I check off add to my team, and I think you guys all know this by now being in this advanced training, but as you can see here, anyone you add won't see anything until you share it, unless I click on add to my team. So if I add someone and I check off add to my team, and I add them to the loop, that individual is going to get an invitation to join my loop as on the team. And once they accept that, they're able to see everything in the loop as I see it. So if I had documents in this loop, tasks, things of that nature, messaging, that individual would automatically be able to see all of that. So you want to be really careful about who you add to the loop is on my team. And we even make sure of that by when you check off that box, it's going to give you a pop-up to make sure that this cannot be undone, and that it's only recommended for people working closely together on a deal. So keep that in mind. But yeah, I mean, by importing that information, it's just really just about helping you save time and to be able to have that information and not have to manually enter it yourself. It's also going to connect your loop to their listing loop to avoid multiple loops. So something I hear about is agents talking about how they sent over a contract to another agent that uses dotloop, and now they have two loops. And the listing agent also has two loops. And the reason that is because you did not link the loops and import that in by checking on the linking loops tab. So you want to make sure that those loops are connected and that you guys can seamlessly share documents back and forth through just that one loop view within your account, so you don't have multiple loops. So in order for your listing to be searchable, so that somebody going to make an offer, just as we did for that property on, I think it was East Selling Street, the way to get your listing to be an option, if somebody were to go in to type in the property address of your listing, to be able to do that, is to make sure that we select our transaction type as listing for sale. We select the status as active listing, and we set our role as listing agent. Now, our listing is a searchable in the sense that when somebody goes to create a loop in dotloop and they type in this property address, they're able to select that to connect to our transaction. Now, something else you're going to see, I'm sure you may have noticed, is that as soon as I hit active listing, so I did listing for sale, and then as soon as I chose active listing, this little guy came up as an option. So set up easy offer. So I'm not sure if any of you or all of you were aware of this or not, but what easy offer does is give us the ability to make a folder in our loop have a hyperlink that we could share the link out, somebody could click on, and they could have access to those documents in that folder. Now, obviously, we don't want to do this just willy-nilly for any folder whatsoever. The specific example in my mind where I see the biggest value is going to be for disclosures. So you have a listing, it's a hot market, you have tons of inquiries about this listing, lots of agents coming to you, buying agents wanting to see the disclosures. With that, you could just do this, set up easy offer. So what we can do, so we'll say that this folder with our contracts, just pretend that these are our disclosures. So what I can do is I can click on Set Up Easy Offer, make sure that I'm listed as the listing agent, select what folder. So in a loop, you may have multiple folders. Make sure you check off the correct folder that you want the shareable link for. Now I have this link. I can click Copy and Save. Now once I hit Save, you're going to see to the right of the folder that I've done this for, that it is accessible via Easy Offer. And I have a link that I can then send out, text it to any inquiries that come in, or even advertise it. And on my MLS, put it in the notes, the link, or on Facebook, whatever it may be. We have this link now that we can give out to those interested parties that want to take a look at those disclosures. So let's take a look and see what that looks like. So I'm going to open up another browser. We'll do Safari. And I'm going to paste in that link. So I am an interested party in a listing. The listing agent sent me this link. Click on it. This is what I'm going to see. So this is what that buying agent is going to see when they click on your hyperlink for your easy offer. So now what I can see is the property address, the folder with the documents, you, the listing agent, and that's it. Now, and this is assuming, that this is somebody who's never used dotloop. If they do have a dotloop account, when they click on Get Started, they can sign in if they are already a member. Now, if they just they ignore this yellow banner and they just go to click on a document, they're going to get the same pop-up. So it's going to make sure that in order for them to view any of the documents that you have for that folder, they are either going to have to sign in or create an account. And it's free. But the reason we want to do this also is that you on your end have that information, their name and email address, and you can see that they've clicked on your link and that they're viewing and that they viewed your documents. So this is really good for you. So I'm going to go ahead and just create a fake account here so you can see what this looks like. Oops. Oh man. This is what I get for putting in a fake email address, right? It knows. All right. So now I'm looking at this. The buying agent created an account. They're in the loop now, and they can click and open the documents. Now let's go back to your view. Somebody's clicked on your link. They've created their account or signed into their existing account. Well, let's see what we see here. So if I go to activity log, look what we see here at the top. So that's going to show you in the activity log that someone has joined the loop with the easy offer link. They clicked on it. They wanted to view those documents. So that's also, kind of insightful as well. You see that in your activity log, you give it a couple days or maybe just a day. You could always reach out to Jenna Becker and, shoot her an email and say, hey, I know that you looked at the disclosures, or I saw that you had looked over the disclosures. Do you have any questions for me? Or, something of that nature. But just good for you to know then. And I just wanted to let you guys know that you do have access to seeing then who has clicked on that. But for disclosures, I think that this is hugely valuable in saving you time there. So before I go into, I just want to touch on messaging and submit for review and questions. I'm just going to pause for just a couple seconds here and check in with Sam. All right, so Sam, I just checked in with Sam, and I think there were maybe one or two individuals who have asked about merging loops. So as far as merging loops, my answer is going to be on the topic. It kind of just depends. So, we do have a feature in dotloop where you can go into the details section, scroll down at the very bottom and click on merge loop, and you can merge loops. Now, there are a lot of stipulations to this because we do not want to allow for you guys to be able to merge or I guess I should say for anybody to have access to information they shouldn't have access to. So like if I were to merge this loop into, let's say my Van Dyke Street loop, we don't want anybody in that loop to have access to something they shouldn't have access to. So there really are only specific scenarios to where you can, within the system, merge loops. This is really meant for if you get like an empty loop for whatever reason and for two transactions. This actual merge functionality within dotloop. What I would say is, and if that doesn't work, the easiest way would just to be go into the loop. So let's say you have two loops for the same transaction. The loop that you're not wanting to use, just go in there, and if it has documents in there that you need in your other loop, just download or copy those documents into your active and active loop, the loop that you're actually going to be accessing and utilizing, and then archiving the other loop. And just to reiterate to everyone how to archive a loop or a document, because this is a question we get pretty much on every training we ever do, so let's say this loop, it ends up, they decide they don't want to sell anymore for whatever reason or put a pause on it. And I don't want this to be an active loop within all of my other loops. All I need to do is just click on active listing and choose archived. To archive a document, so let's say this contract I uploaded accidentally, it's the wrong one. To the right of the document, click on the 3 gray dots and choose archive. Now for the document, you notice as soon as I hit archive, it's gone out of my view. Now if for whatever reason you needed to bring that back, you archived the wrong document or whatnot, click on show archived, and you are going to see that document in a light gray. That's to let you know that that is an archived document. It is not an active document. If you need to unarchive it, so we want to bring it, I like to think of it, bring it back to life, to the right of the document, click on the 3 gray dots and unarchive. Now you can see it is now back into its bold color, black, and is active. So that's how you archive a document, and that's how you archive a loop. So for the loop as a whole, it is in the status of archived. If I go back to my loops, you see it's not there. And that's because I have my filters. If I click on filters, set to not show anything that's archived. So if I were to want to find that loop, let's say there's a specific loop that you're looking for, and you don't see it in your dropdown, you're going to want to go to filter, clear all, and hit filter, and then just search it. And there it is. So I would say 95% of the calls that we get to our support team that are people looking, saying that they've lost a loop, they don't know where it is because their filters are on and they don't realize it. So just keep that in mind. If you do archive something, if you have your filters set to not show the archive, you're not going to be able to see it. So up to keeping your filters as to how you need them is always going to be something that's extremely beneficial for keeping organized. So 11:51, we have about 9 minutes left. I want to open it for any other topics that you guys want to make sure that I cover before. I have a couple other things to talk about, but first I want to make sure that we cover what you guys want me to cover. So I'm going to give you guys just a few seconds here. Go ahead and type in your control panel. If there's a topic you want me to cover for the next 9 minutes, I can certainly do so. Again, I want to make sure you guys get the most out of this webinar today and give you that opportunity. So go ahead and in your control panel for GoToWebinar in the questions, go ahead and type any questions or topics you would like me to cover. And I'm going to go ahead and move on to messaging quickly, and I'm going to have Sam just cut me off if something comes through. So messaging. So in a loop, so I'm going to go into our loop that we used here, and I want to talk about messaging because I think this is something that can be really helpful. A couple tips here. So if you have, let's say you're in your loop and you have one of your documents that you need to message somebody in the loop about. We could even say a specific admin. You need to you want to talk to them about this contract to purchase. What you can do is just hover over the document and to the right of not shared and the people icon, I can click on the notes, this notes here. And when I click on it, it's going to say compliance notes 4 in the document name. Now, if I type a message here to my specific admin, Adrian, it's going to say in the email to her that it's regarding this document. So it's going to save me from having to say, hey, for the contract to purchase, I could have multiple contracts in there. For the one that I want her to look at specifically, this is extremely helpful. And I can say whatever I need to say to her about that. So, this is a little something, but I think it's really beneficial and really helpful, especially if I have multiple contract to purchases in here for whatever reason. If it's this one specifically I want her to look at, I could message her there and just save me from having to direct her to what specific document I'm referring to. Obviously, all communication, we have this messaging section, but something I want to point out is that all communication, like let's say I shared a document with a client and I wrote a custom message for that, it's all going to be saved up here. And I like to think of this as the messaging hub. So all communication that's ever been done in this transaction, even though it wasn't done in this specific section, it's all going to flow into here. So I would see all of my communication here. So for that specific document that we just messaged on, that would flow up into here and we would be able to see it. So this is just the main hub of messaging for this loop. Just think of it that way. And the other thing I like to just, make sure people are aware of, I can click on new note, and this is going to list everybody in this loop, including individually all of my admins. So if I just needed to tell Anna something specific about this transaction, I can check her off and type a note. Something else to keep in mind is Anna's going to get an email. Anna can reply via email, and we can go back and forth in an email chain outside of dotloop. That will be logged in dotloop. So to check your messages or to respond, so let's say Anna responds, I don't need to come into this loop and into this messaging section to respond and to make sure it's logged and for compliance and auditing purposes. We can just respond via email back and forth on an email thread. It would all be saved in the notes section. Something to also keep in mind with PDFs, you do have the ability to split and rotate. So this document I uploaded into the loop via email, if you remember, from that co-op agent. Well, this co-op agent is special because I got this upside down, and it's actually 3 documents in one. We can fix that in dotloop. So we just go to File. First, let's get this thing right side up. So I'm going to go to rotate. I can do this. Let's say there's just one page that's upside down. I can just do page. I know this entire thing is upside down, so I want to do file. So I'm just going to do rotate file left until it's right side up. That looks good. Now I can split it. So I can go to File, Split Document. It's going to show me how many pages it is, and then it's going to ask me what I want to split it into. So I know that this is 3 documents. Separate documents, so I need to split it into. But obviously you can still scroll even though I have this little pop-up. It's not going to hinder you from being able to scroll. So as you can see, I can still scroll to see, okay, yeah, for sure it's pages 1 through 3. Oops. Split into 3. 1 through 3, and then 4 and 5, and then 6 and 7. Yep, that's correct. And then I can name them. So this is the contract. Oops. This is an addendum A, and this is addendum B. Now, once I choose split document and choose done, it's going to throw me out of that one big document and put me into my opening up through the 3 separate documents. So as you can see, this was called training contract. Now it's just called contract. And if I scroll down, there's page 1, as you can see right here on the right, page 2, page 3. Now once I get to where page 4 was, it turns to page 1, and it's addendum A, and then 2, and then it bounces back to 1, addendum B, and from there. And if I go back into the loop, training contract is gone, it's been archived, and it's been replaced by my 3 split versions. So you are able to clean up those ugly PDFs that are sent to you from co-op agents very easily within dotloop. And if you ever want to get back the original, again, show archived, there it is. And if I need to bring it back to life, click on the 3 gray dots, unarchive. And you have the ability to show and hide archived for every loop. So something I haven't gotten to yet is how you can get in the running for a $100 Amazon gift card. Christmas is right around the corner. I should have mentioned this probably a little earlier, but hashtag dotloop_life. Get yourself in the running for this $100 Amazon gift card. So it's just the # DOTLOOPLIFE. Go ahead and post that on any social media. You can go ahead and add in there, Jenna and Sam are the best. Learn so much from Jenna. She's a rock star. Whatever you want. Those are just some suggestions. Just kidding. Hashtag dotloop_life. Get in the running for the $100 Amazon gift card. I'm going to pause just a moment here and check in with Sam. All right. Also, there is a handout for today's training. You should be able to see it in the GoToWebinar, your control panel. It should just look like a piece of paper, like icon. If you're having trouble downloading it for whatever reason, go ahead and email training@dotloop.com. And for a recording of our Palooza for Advanced, you can email training@dotloop.com as well. All right, we got about 30 seconds here. Hashtag dotloop_life, post that on social, get in the running for a $100 Amazon gift card. For the handout, if you cannot get that from that from your control panel, you can always email training@dotloop.com for a copy of that if you're having trouble with it. All right, guys, thank you so much. You've all been so awesome. I hope you got a lot out of today. Support.dotloop.com. Go ahead. That's our support site. Just you can put in the search bar any keyword of what you want to learn more about. It's a great site. It's got tons of material in there for you to expand on anything we talked about today, and get further resources and look at recorded webinars and so forth. All right, you guys have a great rest of your day. It looks like it's about lunchtime, so if you're headed to lunch, enjoy your lunch. Happy looping.